In this, the final unit of this chapter of our InDesign CS6 course, we're going to very quickly do a quality check for everything that we're working with inside this InDesign document, package it, and prepare it for remote printing with our preferred service provider. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the Edit pull-down menu, and we're going to select the spelling options to check spelling for the entire document. Let's get started. And the first thing it finds is OSX because I had my cursor in this text box. If you didn't have anything selected, your spell check may have brought up something from the first page. OSX. That's highlighted right over here. Now that's a perfectly acceptable spelling for working with OSX. We could use this as the other option, or like I say, if we prefer, just go OSX and add that to the dictionary. Or in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to skip it and go to GarageBand. Now that again is a unique term. If I was going to be writing things that would be talking about GarageBand forevermore, I may choose to add that to the dictionary as case sensitive, so it would recognize that exactly what I'd like it to be. But in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ask it to ignore all of those. Going to do the same thing for PowerPoint, for SharePoint, SQL, ASP.NET, and now what I'm looking for is it's got total training courses. That's uncapitalized because we put an artificial return there, so we'll skip that. www.totaltraining.com, it's reading the web address. That's exactly the way we'd like it to be. So if we were doing this all day, every day for total training, we'd probably add that to the dictionary as well. It shows that internet is broken up here. So I've got that set. What it wants to do is change that to first use internet with a capital I, which we'll go for, and we'll change that. But we'll come back and fine-tune that in a little bit. There's Adobe After Effects. We'll skip that. And as far as InDesign's concerned, we've got good, clean spelling all the way across. So we're done there. Let's go to the second thing we want to do. And we're going to change a couple of the line breaks here because they just look a little bit odd. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to skip this line of type right here up to make it a single piece. So I'm going to go to the character here, and instead of the default 95, I'm going to scale back the character width just a hair. In this case, I brought it to 93% width, and I got rid of that extra widow. It gives me a little bit of extra space here that I can use to define how that looks just a little bit cleaner, a little bit nicer here. Your mileage may vary, but as I'm looking at this, that really looks pretty nice. I'm going to look over here at all the page breaks that we've got right here. This doesn't look too bad, except for one thing. I probably want to take that your and spread that down to the next line. Now, if I actually just hit the return key, what's going to happen is it's going to turn that into a separate bullet, as we demonstrated a little bit earlier. So I want to use a specific type of line break as opposed to just a plain old return. I'm going to do that by going to the Type pull-down menu, going to Insert Break Character, and in this case what I'm going to use is I'm going to use the Forced Line Break, and that's a Shift and Return key on the Mac or the PC. So I'm going to say there, and what that'll do is it'll move it down without creating a brand new bullet. Let's take a fast look at the inside of that brochure one more time. So as I've got this built right here, I can see that that page actually looks pretty fair. So as far as the layout that I've got, we're going to say for the sake of argument that I'm actually very happy with the results that we've got right here. We're going to save this file. Just go Command S just as well. And now what we're going to do is we're going to package this file. So I'm going to click on this right here. And what it'll do is it'll allow me to build a package for this document containing all of these elements. We don't have any errors showing. We also know that because our live pre-flighting shows that there are no errors detected. So I'm just going to package this, create this printing instructions file. We're going to change this package for TT trifold brochure. And now we're going to continue. We're going to place this folder inside the Chapter 6 subfolder of our InDesign CS6 Essentials project files. And we're going to name this TT brochure for printing and package it. So in this case, it's going to give us our alert that says that you don't want to bootleg fonts, but you do have the right to ship fonts with your job, to archive it, or to ship it to a remote printer for output. We're going to say OK. It's going to package that document. And I'm going to hide InDesign. And as I go to Chapter 6, I'll see that I've got my TT brochure for printing. If I click on that, it'll show it's got a copy of the brochure that we designed, links for all the graphics that were used inside of it, fonts that were used inside the document, as well as instructions text file, that digital job ticket that we built into it. Let's go back to InDesign. And we're going to save this a couple of other ways. We're going to go to the File pull-down menu, and we're going to export a couple of different versions of this file. First, inside our completed brochure folder, we're going to place an Adobe PDF file for print. In this case, it's going to be named Randy6, my TT brochure for printing, randy6.pdf. So I'm going to save that. As I say, to save it, it's going to give me a number of options that we can use for building this. I'm going to use a common model that's used for print materials called PDF X1A 2001. And it basically sets a series of rules that are preset for how this job needs to be done. So everything's set. I'm going to export that PDF file. Now, you may be working with people who don't have the latest version of Adobe InDesign. If you are, you can actually backsave a interchange format file that we can use that can be opened up in InDesign CS 5.5, 5, or CS4. And the way we do that is we would go to File, Export, and in this case, instead of selecting Adobe PDF, what we're going to do is we're going to select what's known as an InDesign markup or IDML file and save this inside that TT brochure for printing as well. So when I save that, what I'll have is not only the original InDesign document that we've created and packaged, but if I hide this very quickly, we'll see that we also have a PDF file that's press ready and can go to a commercial printer. We also have an IDML file. And an IDML file allows us to open this package that we see right here in InDesign CS 5.5, 5, and InDesign CS4 programs, the exact same way we can as we're working with InDesign CS6.